Okay, we're back in modeling an LED TV set, large screen, part 2. And we need to add edge loops because right now, if I go in here and hit the 3 key for smooth preview, this is what we get. It totally is not good. That's not a good thing. So what we're going to do is go back to the 1 key, make sure you're in selection mode. So we've got to add edge loops. So I'm going to show you how to add edge loops to this TV set so you get a really nice sharp image. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go in here, zoom into a corner of your TV set, okay, and we're going to start adding edge loops. Okay, so hold down the shift key, right mouse button, click over top of the object, make sure you're in selection mode, object mode. Go into insert edge loop. Get close to where you're at. And if you can't see your lines, then click on your wireframe on shaded, right? This will really help you if you can't see where you're at. So now I'm going to hold down my left mouse button as I go over top of it to create an edge loop. Okay, I'll do that again. So you want this to be really close to this. So you're going to have to get close to it yourself to get close and get that edge loop really nice and close, because it'll fall apart if you don't. So I'm going to do a couple, so one across here. This is called an inside edge loop when you have a corner, and here's an inside edge loop right there. So we're doing a corner. Now we're going to do an outside edge loop. Same thing, you're going to click on this edge right here and do an outside edge loop. Okay? So that outside edge loop will hold the integrity of this line inside, and then this outside edge loop here will hold the integrity of that line on top. Okay, so this is what we have. We have an inside edge loop right here, an inside edge loop right here, we have an outside edge loop right here, and an outside edge loop right here. Okay, you don't need to add more than that, meaning that will actually keep that edge here from compressing and this edge loop here from compressing or rounding out too much. Okay? Alright, so that's how you create edge loops for interior corners. And then we have to make sure that we don't lose any compression here or stretching here, because we need to add an edge loop on the inside. Now notice I'm keeping this nice and square. See those cubes? It's going to give me a nice result. See those cubes? Looks like a cube. Yep. And then I'm going to do an interior edge loop right here as well, like that. Okay. So that will keep the TV nice and smooth. If I do smoothing, look at that. Beautiful edge right there. Gorgeous right there. Awesome. Hit the 1 key again. So it's looking really nice. The outside edge does not so good. Okay, so let's do the same thing for the outside edge. So we got an outside edge right here that needs attention. So I'm going to add an edge loop right here. Again, following the distance between these, I'm going to do the same thing with this. Following the distance, okay, the same thing. So now I'm supporting the outside edge loops. So I'm going to do the outside edge loops. You guys will get better at this as you go along. Now we're doing more complex objects. So adding an edge loop there and here to keep those corners not from caving into each other. Now we may have an issue right here, a pinching issue with this. Okay, so we may have to pull this object or this vertex away, depending on how sharp that looks and how bad that looks. So we might have pinching right there. Okay, we're not worried about it right now. So right now I just want you to go to every corner and do the same thing as I did with this corner. Okay, so we're going to go to the top corners, get those done first. Okay. Alright, so we'll finish this up. Looks like we got a couple of the edge loops in there, so let's finish this up. So get a nice view of the corner, just like this. And so I'm going to go to the outside, the inside. Okay, so we got both the outside in here and the inside's done. Okay, that's good. That's all that we have to do. We only had to do 2 there. Notice that we've got the the corner covered. We got the inside covered. Okay. Now we're going to go to the outside area of the object. Okay. And it looks like that corner is completed too, except for this part right here. We need an edge loop right there. Notice that we got the inside or the outside edge loop here, and so that looks good. Let's hit the 3 key, and that looks pretty good. Just double check everything. Okay, that looks good. Looks nice. I'm hitting the 3 key, and I hit the 1 key again. Now I'm going to go down to the very bottom. Okay, and we're going to continue adding edge loops to these areas that need it. Okay, so this area here needs 2. We need 1 here, I believe, and 1 here. There we go. Be consistent on how far you are with your edge loops when you're creating them. Okay, so that looks really good. And let's go down to the bottom and let's add an edge loop right here. And then to the corner here. And do we need any edge loops here? Probably not. Everything looks pretty good. Hit the 3 key to double check everything. The 3 key gives you a smooth preview. And that looks good. Okay, awesome. Let's go to the other side. Hit the 1 key again, and we got one more corner to do. Okay. And let's check this one. It looks like that one's finished. That one looks good. Yep, that looks good. Let's go to the corner here, make sure that's taken care of, and underneath. Yes. So let's go ahead, hit the 3 key, and make sure that's not falling apart. That looks really good. Okay, now let's take a look at the back. Now, is there any really bad pinching? I don't know. Let's take a look. Turn wireframe off. Whoops. We want shaded. Wireframe off. There we go. And just time to take a look. It's not exactly what I wanted, but I'm not going to see it, so I'm not going to be too worried about it. Okay. Let's hit the 1 key again. The only thing I'm not crazy about is probably these edge loops right here. We can probably move or slide those across, but you know what? I mean, we're not going to see it, so I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with that. Most TVs have a little look like that in the back. Anyway, the front is what matters to me, so that is looking really good. I'm really happy with that. So we got those corners looking nice. I'm on smooth preview on that. There we go. That's looking good. I think we did a good job. So the next thing we do is get it back to 1 and make sure you save your work. Okay, but the screen is done, so let's go to Edit, Delete by Type History, Modify Freeze Transformations, and then Center Pivot. So we're going to put that in a layer. I'm putting my TV in a layer, so I'm just going to call that Layer TV. And save that and turn that off. So I really want to focus on this stand now. Now we need to do the same thing with the stand. If the shape looks good, the form looks good, then what we can do is work on the TV stand in the back, and we need to add edge loops to that. So I'll do this quickly. I think you know how to do this by now. Go to Insert Edge Loop, because if I didn't, it would look like this. Let me give you an example here real quick. Let's go back here and hit the 3 key. Yeah, it just falls apart. That's what it's going to look like. So it has to have edge loops. So let's go in here and add edge loops. And zoom in. Let's just work on one corner. I usually like to just work on a corner and get that looking good and then go from there. I don't need to go as tight. I'm going to go, you know, something like that. Not as tight as the TV. And so I'm going to add edge loops like that on the side here on the TV stand. Okay, now I'm going to hit the 3 key to kind of get an idea, once I get this top part done, of how it's going to look. Okay, so there we go. Hit the 3 key. So you get an idea. That looks pretty good, so I'm going to go and click off. So that looks good. I like that. Okay, nice edges on there. Good. And then I just work my way down to the areas that need it. So I'm going to hit the 1 key again, and we know we need to set up this corner here because that is going to be nice and kind of a square shape. So I'm going to go back into here, go to object mode, and get back in here to the insert edge loop, and I'm going to insert edge loop here to tighten that up, right there, and right here to tighten that up. And that should take care of most of the issues and problems, but I got to go underneath here, tighten that one up all the way across. I've also got an inside edge loop that right here that needs to be taken care of, so I need to do an inside edge loop here and inside edge loop here, and that looks pretty good. I need an inside edge loop right here to support that really tight break right there. There we go. And then all the way to the end, let's add that. And you guys will get used to box modeling, and it's fast and pretty accurate. So now when I'm done, I'm going to click on this guy right here and hit the 3 key and check it out and see if I missed anything. That looks really good. So you can see that nice tight edges all the way across. It's not happy with that. So hit the 1 key. I forgot to set that up. Let's go ahead and set that up. So go back to selection mode, and I'm going to add an edge loop here. You can tell if you forget an edge loop because it will fall apart. I'm going to hit the 3 key. Now that's a nice sharp edge there. Okay. Now be mindful though not to go crazy with edge loops. That just makes more subdivisions and more higher resolution object. So you have to kind of keep that in mind as you do this. So this is I think this is good. This is my stand. That looks pretty good. It's exactly what I want it to look like. Okay, great. Awesome. Good. All right, so good enough because you're not going to see the back anyway. So when you're finished, you always want to save your low polygon. This is still considered low polygon, by the way, even with the edge loops. Go to Edit, Delete by Type, History, Modify Freeze Transformations, and Center Pivot. And that is that. So if you want to see both together, what you can do is get the TV turned back on again and select your one leg. If you have one altogether, you'll have to create that. But if you have one leg, then you can just duplicate that over. What I would suggest you do if that's the case, okay, what you're going to do then is, let me get this moved over just a little bit like that. It's kind of like the way it is here. And you can duplicate this over by just duplicating it, but it won't look right. So if I do that, it won't look right. See? So we want to duplicate that over. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the D key down, right, and snap it. Use the snap tool and snap that guy in the center of the grid. Okay, well, I don't have my grids showing, but I could show my grids real quick. So there's my center, right? Let me turn those back off again. All right, so now we can duplicate it over. So again, I gotta freeze transformations, right? So I'm gonna edit, delete by type history, and we want to modify freeze transformations, and that clears everything out. Now I can mirror that over, so I can go to edit, duplicate special, and I showed this to you before, and then scale that in the X, -1, okay? -1 scale, and that allows me to duplicate that over perfectly. So that's really nice. Again, that is edit, duplicate special, and then -1 in the scales, because you got to look at it this way. So this is X, Y, and Z. Okay, and you can tell how many numbers or copies that you want. Just make sure it says 1. Okay, otherwise you're going to get multiple copies. And I would always reset your settings before you use this, because somebody could put 100 copies in there and you'll have 100 copies and you don't want that. Okay, so always edit, delete by type, or edit, reset settings, and then you can go ahead and put in your numeric input, and then click on duplicate special. Anyway, so that is our TV set, and make sure you duplicate this before you smooth it out. So hit the smooth preview, hit the 3 key, and if everything looks good, then you're good to go. And that is modeling a TV set.